Hello, and welcome to the dive presented by Icebaths, because we're paying off our bet immediately.
We both lost.
Neither CLG or Team Liquid are going to represent us.
I won by not participating.
That's true, actually. You're the only winner in this bet.
Well, all the fans too. All of us get to enjoy you guys.
I'm cold already.
I'm actually
because we're just sitting here in the AC in our shorts and we're already cold. That's not a good sign.
That's why I'm wearing a hoodie though. I think I might like wrap myself up in a towel when I have to go in, because I think it's gonna be really cold.
It is going to be
Kobe's
really
been
cold.
Training for this. Kobe takes cold showers by choice.
Yeah, I've been trying to train for it. You can't get cold water in LA in your shower though, because
110 degree weather is heating up.
It's just the temperature of the water in your pipes, and it's like, here's like 65-degree water. Great.
Well, before we get into the ice baths, there are a couple serious topics that we want to, I put in air quotes because it depends your definition of serious, but that we want to talk about before you guys are chattering teeth through these. The two big pieces of news that came out this week thus far were the Danny stepping down for Chicago, Spica also being released by TSM. So I guess we can start with the Danny one.
Said terminated his contract. That's
they tore it up in front of him.
Terminated that. Oh my God, my login just got terminated as well.
Yeah,
it's always 1 week's time. It automatically logs you out. So it logs us out at the same time every.
So for Danny, I mean, it's tough, right? Like obviously, I think everyone could see that he was struggling a bit during playoffs. If you just looked at the player cams, if you saw his reactions after the games,
even in game,
even during the game, but especially after they won, and there was kind of the outpouring of emotion from him after they qualified for Worlds, their final series. And you could tell he was struggling, right? Like he was having a hard time.
And people have talked about it before with him and different teammates and stuff as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know that he had some struggles after MSI. Had felt that people were all like kind of hating him and against him after that, which was really sad to see because NA fans I do think really love Danny and were really behind him. But it's a tough decision, I'm sure, for him to make. This is what you've been working towards all year long, and for him to make that decision that. Hey, I need to take a step back and take a break for my mental health or take a break to really be able to recover. I think that takes a lot of maturity to realize that you actually need that. So I think, I'm proud that he's able to do that. As a young man, as an 18-year-old kid, I think that's hard. Yeah,
it's extremely stressful to have all the social media impact of all these fans all the time constantly judging you and the pressures of this hyper competitive environment of being a pro player.
It was also, the messaging was fairly brief about the reasons. So we're not 100% sure it's fan or whatnot. It just said for his own mental health that he's stepping back, and it only said for Chicago weekend. But I don't know if that will also go into the future. Because there's the positive spin to this is that by recognizing that he's struggling now, if you just keep forcing through, you don't get better.
Yeah.
And you're just going to spiral, and that would probably really hurt their World's chances as a team. And so the positive spin to this is either he recovers in time for Worlds, though no pressure. I'm not expecting it, honestly, because it's hard to just bounce back.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking this probably will take some work.
Yeah. So probably not back for Worlds. And then the plus side is with Kaori stepping in, he should hopefully get more time to practice because you've done this now and not later. And while that might hurt temporarily for the Chicago situation, at least you're taking the steps to try and rectify the situation as best you can from here.
Yeah.
So assuming that it is there's just the social pressure and all that stuff getting to him, then this allows him to just kind of step back before it gets even worse during Worlds or whatever.
Totally. And I mean, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought as much about the hey, now versus later, because they have more time to practice with Gary, for Worlds potentially. Obviously that's total speculation. We don't know if Danny needs a week off. We don't know if he needs, a year off. We don't know. Right. Definitely a lot of respect to EG being able to give him that time. It's obviously a disappointing situation. I'm sure it's very disappointing for Danny. It's disappointing for EG fans. It's definitely going to be disappointing for his teammates. They all want to win. They all work for it as well. But if you're not in that right mental state, you're not going to be helping your team anyway, right? And I think we could all see that Danny wasn't playing as well in playoffs versus regular season where he was really dominating. So I mean, it's like not a good thing, but it's a good thing given the circumstances, right? It's good that he's actually taking care of himself, and I think that that's something that we want to be like happy with and supportive of in esports, and just in general, people taking care of their mental health, even if it does mean, hey, like taking a step back and having some cost to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, people might not remember the Ole situation from MSI like 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago now. I don't remember when that was. But like he couldn't take it and had to stop in the middle of a competition. And this is obviously better than that. So like the earlier you can recognize that, like I'm going downhill and I need something to stop that, like do it when you recognize it.
And also, I mean, respect him for staying in as long as he did. Because I mean, this is obviously speculation, but just like, it didn't look like he was having a great time during playoffs in general. And did stay with the team and help them to qualify for Worlds. And Peter Dunn and him had like a moment on stage after where he came out and kind of like shook his hand and gave him like a bit of a hug or whatever after their series, right? And to me, that was kind of like significant because you could tell like it had been really hard. And when I saw Danny in tears, it kind of to me spoke a lot of just relief, right? Of feeling like, hey, like, and maybe that's, was his goal. Like he wanted to make sure his team could qualify and then, take a step back or whatever. But, I'm hopeful that EG can perform for the players and for the fans without Danny, and that, Kerry can make the most of the opportunity. Of course, it is going to be a big blow for them, right? Like in playoffs, less so. But in the regular season for sure, and MSI for sure, and spring season when they won their championship for sure, it was like a team that was largely built around the feed the Danny, right? Get him stacked up as much as you possibly can. This guy's an absolute monster team fighter, and they are going to be without that.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into the recap because we'll be doing that later, but they obviously also changed that play style in playoffs where Danny was more of an afterthought in how they played the game, which at least shows that the team has some adaptability and can play other ways and whatnot. And Kaori is supposed to be one of the best Academy AD carries, so at least you have a good backup ready to go, and it's not someone who's young and hasn't had experience. He's a TCL player. He's been around a little bit. As far
as the situation that this leaves Evil Geniuses in, and how they progress forward, through not only this weekend, but looking at Worlds as well. At least it is not a situation where you're like, Evil Geniuses, oh no, it's one of these teams that doesn't care about Academy at all and doesn't invest at all and build up and they're left with like, the bottom of the barrel, AD carries coming in to fill in.
And a coach coming in.
They're calling me up.
Or exactly. You've got like the coach, the positional coach or something subbing in. Carry was, okay, Team Liquid Academy's bottom lane is the best bottom lane in the league for sure. So Jan and Ayla is uncontested, but the Evil Geniuses program was one of the programs that was right up there, with them, near the top with the Cloud9, with the 100 Thieves, with the Team Liquid, one of the organizations that's investing very heavily in it. And trying to build him up. So I also know he's been spamming a bunch of Champions Q. He's one of the players I see in there a whole bunch as well. So he also has that work ethic. And like you said, whenever you have a situation like this, it does suck that this situation came up. But then it is an opportunity for the other player, to step up. This is a very big opportunity for him.
Absolutely. I mean, first EG fans obviously going to be sad that Danny's gone, but like in sports, sometimes there's that moment where like the sub comes in and just crushes it. Like everyone thinks back to the Turtle days.
Well, I was thinking you were going to say like Tom Brady.
Well, I was going to mention Tom Brady, but I'm like, how many people know Tom Brady through Bledsoe's story? So let's go with Turtle stepping in for Chaos when that happened. There was also Tactical coming in for Double Lift, actually. Yeah. I know Tactical has not fallen out of community favor or whatnot, but when he came in, they were actually really good. They went 15-3 the next split, I believe it was. So like, people are hungry, and when they get these opportunities, sometimes they don't want to let them go.
Absolutely. I mean, if he can come in and really perform, it's not necessarily that he's going to take Danny's spot or whatever, but like you can prove that you should be in the LCS, and that's a really exciting opportunity. I also think glass half full. If you have to have someone swap out, ADC, I feel like, is the most plug and play role. I don't know if you guys actually agree with that take, but that's
you can tell them what to do. You just say, hey, come to this team fight. We'll protect you. Play off your instincts. Exactly. AD carry is.
The only other one is if Solo's coming in for your top. I feel like that dude just slap him in there.
Yeah.
It's like the meme where they're just like slapping the tape on the water. It's Solo.
Slap Solo on it. It plugs that hole up. You're going to playoffs.
Top lane's leaking. Slap Solo in.
But no, I mean, I think that in general, it's rare that a team has like an ADC who's like a shot caller or anything like that, they're generally clicking minions and then later they're clicking heads, right? It's like, this is this kind of like mechanics based role. It's going to be more plug and play. I'd also say, I can't, maybe it was you, Mark, mentioning just like that EG kind of changed away a bit from like the feed the Danny in playoffs. And when I heard this, my immediate thought was, okay, maybe we're going to get more of just like Vulcan Bard style games. Like, not saying he's going to pick Bard every game, but like roaming, yeah. Right? Like focus on roaming. JoJo was a monster, I think, in playoffs and really a big reason that they were even able to scrape by in a lot of close series. So maybe it is going to be more of a focus on, carry or like fighter tops or whatever for impact and put JoJo in good matchups, and Vulcan roams around the map and tries to kind of play with Inspired. And then you have, Kiori either playing something like a little bit more weak side or something a bit more utility based, right? And I think that sort of play style could definitely work for them.
Yeah. We're going to have to get confirmation on how you say it as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like
Kaori.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Kaori. I said Kaori at the beginning, and then I just like flubbed it, and then I fed that to you.
Yeah, I saw you guys kept going with it. And I was like,
Kaori. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Kaori, but I could be wrong.
I'm not certain.
I didn't hard correct you because I'm like, I don't really know.
No, I'm pretty sure
I'm willing to take the L on this one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I misspoke and
I based it completely off of Mark.
Okay.
Because I wasn't actually.
It's the blind following the blind.
Yeah.
Got it.
Exactly. I'm a sheeple.
Hold on. Let me see if I'm on the thing right now. Let me see if it'll play me the audio.
All right. Well, you dig that up. Unless there's anything else to say here, we can begin slowly transitioning to Spica. Released for TSM. The funniest one was the freed Spica. Did you see that?
No.
You know how people...
Kaori.
Yeah.
Kaori. Okay.
There's a bit of a
there we go.
Kaori.
Yeah.
Kaori. Close enough.
We got there eventually.
Yeah.
Spica freed from TSM as people were spamming. Let go. There's a little bit of speculation on exactly what happened here because his contract.
I saw a screenshot of a Discord message.
There's some Discord messages. We can't verify the authenticity of said messages. There was Dom from TSM came out and said that they couldn't come to terms financially was the biggest sticking point, it sounded like.
What was in the Discord message? I didn't see that.
I mean, the Discord message is a screenshot of Spica saying they offered me 100K more than my current salary.
Okay.
But as Mark said, we can't verify.
Yeah, you don't know if he's at
a Photoshop job.
Is that a Photoshop job? Also, we don't know what. Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Who can say? So anyways, that was surprising they got released now because the contract should have been good, I think, for another month. Most contracts run through November, basically. So he got released early, and presumably it was like...
Lose a month's salary.
Probably because you can.
I think it was full year too, so it's probably 2 months.
Yeah. So either way, like the most of the time you can allow your players to talk to other orgs if you wanted to let them during that time and it not be poaching. It's only poaching if you don't want them talking to other orgs. So orgs have to go through your management to talk to him. The fact that they just straight up released him seems pretty unlikely that he's coming back to TSM. Though they said never say never, but. It's unlikely.
Never.
It made a lot of people think, all right, what is going on with TSM next year and with TSM's budget specifically? It's a huge conversation right now considering the failure of Team Liquid to, hit top 3 in the LCS. And it is just kind of bleeding over into the TSM discussion now because the Spica news just broke so quickly. And it does feel like one of those like release, breaking free situations. And you got to think with, what's the speculation on TSM? Like where do you see them going?
Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because to me, I wasn't surprised that he was like not on the team anymore. Spica won MVP last year, right? Is considered like a really high level player. People I think have cooled him on a little bit because he was on a bad team this year, right? So people aren't talking about it as much. So it's like if you're an MVP quality player and you believe that that's how good you are, that's your level. You want to be winning titles. You don't want to be playing for like, oh, hey, good job. You got top 6. You beat one team in playoffs, right? Like, and yeah, you want to be compensated for it too. Fair enough. Esports careers aren't necessarily very long. If other people are getting paid way more than you and you feel like you're at the top of the league, get that bag.
Yeah.
But I think unless TSM was going to make like a big swing on like, hey, like Spica, we're going to bring in these guys and this guy and that guy, and we're going to go for the title, I probably wouldn't want to stay there either. The only thing that is kind of the X factor here for me, and that this makes me wonder, is that the teams that are kind of above them, the top teams that we feel like are competing for the title, all have really good junglers, right? Hunter has Closer, C9 has Blabber, Inspired's amazing on EG, TL has Santorin. Now, if there's roster changes and some people are leaving and stuff and a slot opens up, then maybe you can kind of see that. But otherwise, I'm like, is any other team besides those teams really going to be competing for the title, you know, that he could potentially go to?
Team Liquid is probably the most likely.
Steve gets a little twinkle in his eye whenever he sees a shiny new toy.
But again, I'm assuming Team Liquid, with failing to make Worlds and failing to get top 3 in LCS, that I would assume hurts your budget for next year. The conversations, everyone always loves memeing on Team Liquid and this like endless flow of money. I don't think that's going to be an endless flow anymore.
Especially with Worlds being in NA this year. I think that's supposedly why a lot of teams went extra hard, and to miss this year, I would expect a pullback a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for Spica to see where he goes from here. It sucks for TSM fans because it felt like he was their franchise player at this point after Bjerg left. And I think there's very little of old TSM, and it's kind of been trending that way for a while in terms of like, well, Bjerg left and Lena and Parth left and management's been turned over. Doublelift left. Most of the players have turned over. Spica was kind of like the bridge that with him gone, it's a big question of where you go. I do think Chime's really good. I hope he sticks around. He had a pretty good playoff run. He won Player of the Series one time. Solo, I think also.
When he got barred.
When he got barred. Then they didn't get barred anymore. But like, I think Solo as well looked pretty good. Like there's still pieces around for TSM,
I like,
but
Spica tweeted Solo deserves a team as well. Another one out there, so he's got his back.
Yeah, that would be the like. I talked to 2 players who were both telling me that hey, they think Solo is like much better teammate now than he had been in the past, and like he's performing well and stuff. So I think Solo should for sure have an LCS team. But yeah, like even if you do have some good pieces, you've kind of lost most of like what people associate with TSM. Like who is the face of that team now, right? Is it Maple? Like, you know what I mean? It kind of feels...
Is Maple sticking around even?
Is Maple still going to be there? Is Tactical still going to be there, right? Like, who's going to be there? So definitely a lot of questions there, but I'm excited to see where Spica goes. I know in the past he had an interview where he talked about like wanting to go to LPL and stuff, maybe in the future. So I know a lot of people were talking about that and like saying, oh, well,
rookie.
If none of the top teams actually have jungler slots open, is he going to go to LPL, right? So who knows? It'll be interesting to see what actually happens with him, but lots of
NA export. Woohoo!
No. Why are you cheering that? We need it.
We already had Core JJ, NA export, Dingtoss AD carry,
true.
born and raised, you know,
True.
goes to this minor region of the LCK, helps them win a World's Championship,
true.
Comes back to the big leagues.
Actually, the NA exports are just really concentrated power.
Yeah.
Very successful.
Yeah, we just really
High
focus
percentage.
it on those few.
There's not many,
individuals.
but the ones that we do export, they're freaking
Quality,
good.
not quantity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Alrighty, other last piece of big news. Champions Queue is coming back for Worlds, baby.
So people were always this is one of the most common questions I got on stream. As people were like, oh, are they going to do it for Worlds? That'd be so cool. And I was like, yeah, the only problem they'll have to solve is that we're moving large distances for Worlds. A lot of other countries, it's not a problem, moving around Korea or something. You're like, all right, the internet is great. And the difference in ping is maybe 1 from Busan to Seoul or something like that. But with us having the East Coast stops and West Coast stops, you're going to have to move the servers. Turns out that isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And they're like, yeah, no problem. We're just going to move the servers with each stop, and Champions Queue will be open to all the teams coming to compete for Worlds. The people who are currently in it, they were kind of ambiguous about what content creators, but they said some content creators
For streaming and stuff.
Tyler
and
won.
there's going to be some limitation on those spots, of course, because it's limited by the spectator slots for each game. And so they're unsure about that. But I'm just excited that it is actually going to be used. This is what we're going to have for Worlds practice, because this is going to be just so fun to track. It's going to be hyper-focused competition, on low ping practice tool where everybody is condensed, and it's going to bleed over and help even our players that didn't qualify for Worlds.
Yep.
I saw Dokla is one of the most stoked. He was like, yes, the off season is saved. All these players that are like, oh no, we didn't get to make it. At least they're going to have a really cool competitive opportunity.
This is the Kobe saying look at all the competition and the improvement. I'm like, look at all the memes that are going to come from this. I am so stoked to just watch like the RJS versus Faker that they put in the very
Literally
bottom.
in the article.
Yeah, in the article, dude. Yeah. Like, one, this is just a huge dub because other pros, when asked about Champions Queue at the start of the year, I remember like seeing it talked about in, I forget if it was LCK or LPL. Some of those pros were asked about, and they were like, "Oh, Champions Queue seems cool." Like other regions were looking at it.
Yep.
Now they'll get to experience it. We'll have all these memes going down. I want you to do a stream where like you turn nameplates off and like someone loads the game for you so you don't know if it's RJS or Faker. And there's so much potential for just amazing content going forward with this.
Yeah,
that's really funny. I'm so excited for it. I mean, I literally started streaming because I wanted to stream Champions Queue, and I didn't realize it ended for playoffs. So I like got my new computer and I was like, all right, time to stream some Champions Queue. And everyone was like, it's over, bro. And I was like, no. So I'm actually so happy that we are going to be able to do it. It'll be fun to do some cast together and stuff and spectate a lot of the games. I mean, tracking the pros is always already a lot of fun. I think this will just be like an amped up version of that.
Yeah, because every game is going to have all pros.
Every game's a banger.
Every game's a banger.
Everyone follow Kobe's Twitch channel, Azael's Twitch channel.
Someone tweeted at me and they were like, Kobe, stop saying banger. I don't know why everyone is calling these games bangers. Bangers actually means it's bad, like an old busted car. It doesn't mean something that's good. And I was like,
language evolves.
It's one of those moments.
Bangers are actually potatoes, aren't they?
Bangers
bangers.
No, they're sausages.
They're sausages.
Yeah. Why do you keep talking about sausages, Kobe? You're weird.
Yeah, exactly.
This game is an absolute sausage.
This game is just...
That's actually gonna go full like the evolution is to just start calling things sausages when they're good.
This game is so oily. Oh.
That's a fat sausage game.
Excuse me, Mark.
All right, let's get into the ice bath. So this is enough of this.
Okay.
I think Mark's going to have to join us in the ice bath.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, so how are we doing these ice baths?
So to recap the actual bet, if you guys didn't remember the actual bet. So Kobe bet that CLG would make Worlds. If CLG didn't make Worlds, he had to do a 5-minute ice bath. I thought TL would make Worlds. They didn't make Worlds either. So I also have to do a 5-minute ice bath here.
That's correct.
I'm not looking forward to it at all.
I'm actually kind of scared because while I have been looking forward to it, and this is the kind of the reason why I was like, oh yeah, we should definitely do the ice bath bet, because like I've been trying to do cold exposure. Like I said, I haven't been able to get water this cold in LA without an actual ice bath. So let's get it in here. Let's prep it.
All right, we'll be right back with the ice bath.
Welcome back. This is my punishment for having faith.
I don't know if this is getting picked up by the microphone.
I don't think it is.
Kobe said, welcome back. This is his punishment for having faith. So here we go. I have 5 minutes on the clock. As soon as his foot touches water.
It's 48 degrees.
It's 48 degrees, which is a little colder than recommended, but he'll be okay.
Oh my God.
He's podcast listeners.
Slow.
Oh! All right, timer started. You're good. All right, we got a microphone for Kobe here.
One thing though, I made fun of James because he did not go all the way down when he was in there, so I'm gonna go all the way down.
I'm not doing that. I'm just standing.
5 minutes is insane, actually. Oh, this is actually insane.
You're 20 seconds down. You're doing great.
There's not enough room to go deeper.
You just stand, Kobe. Stand and hold the mic.
No, we can't do 5 minutes. We gotta do 3 minutes or some shit. Let's go.
You'll adjust. You'll be fine. You just gotta adjust.
It's so fucking cold. Oh no, I'm actually frozen. You better laugh now, motherfucker. You fucking better laugh now.
I have to enjoy this because I have to do this next.
It's 47. It's going down still. It's 47. It's not even accurate. For cold exposure, they usually use like 52 to 55.
All right, TL, how you feeling about that CLG faith right now? TL versus CLG.
5-game series.
I never doubted them. They should have won. Why did they throw it? It was actually so troll. They could have won game 3 or 5. They won first 2 games.
You should have doubted them. That's the problem.
I thought I actually had it. They won the first 2 games so easily. Oh.
How you feeling about not banning Zillion in Game 5 against Bjergsen?
You're doing great. A minute and a half down.
The Galio pick.
Oh my God, it's
they
only been a
started
minute
out with
and a half.
such good drafts too, though. The Galio pick early on. Oh my God. I loved it to counter the early vibes, the counter engage. Yeah, so smart. CLG, yeah, so smart. Then they had to go with the Akali, Yone, the signature.
So I'll back Kobe up. Is that like people always talk about comfort, you know, as like a good fallback in late game, like high pressure situations. But this is the downside of comfort when you're zen, dude. You're zen.
Okay, you can just give him the mic and then you can sit down. So you can be heard
Are you ready
too.
to grab the mic from me?
Let's unscuff the audio as much as possible here.
Podcast listeners, you better watch this one on YouTube. It's probably gonna be a little weird.
Kobe's just zen now. Now he's chilling.
That's
I think
what
that
you
means that he's
adjust.
lost feeling in his legs.
The first minute is agony, and then you just accept your existence.
Nope.
You're halfway there. You're
Shut up.
halfway there. You're crushing it, dude.
You don't know anything.
I got the hair blower ready for you as soon as
You
you're
don't know
done.
anything. You don't understand us.
Yeah.
This was also the series where it was kind of the development of the Jinx pick, I think, from Hansama, right? In Uzeri.
Yeah, that'll come back to bite him in the ass. We know the future. The goddamn Jinx, it allowed for the next series, the Jinx to get targeted. They were picking Gangplank and Jarvan and all that shit all over the place. CLG were the test subjects.
Yep.
We led the way. Because of our failure, it led to your failure. You had to show too much versus CLG.
The thing is, too, Bjergsen basically became Palafox in that series, where he started playing Akali, he played Talia, and he played Galio. So he just tried to be Palafox. Palafox got in Bjergsen's head and mind controlled him.
Oh, true. Why did he copy the person that lost the series?
I don't know.
That wasn't a good idea, was it?
Bjergsen tried to play Silas into Palafox in the beginning of the series. That's how we won the first 2 games, I feel like, too. Oh, it's still going down. This is actually insane.
Hey, but think of the bright side. Azael's going to get in when it's colder.
Well,
That's
I'm
horrible.
warming it up right now.
Perfect. But keep warming, Kobe.
The temperature is not getting colder. The
thermometer.
Exactly.
I guess it depends.
It's catching up.
You want to know? I don't understand thermodynamics. So maybe the ice melting releases colder water, and because doesn't ocean temperature.
45.
Doesn't ocean temperature go down as the icebergs melt?
It's going to be cold.
It was colder
I'm
than
pretty
45
sure
when I
global
got in.
warming.
I've been warming this bullshit up.
Global
What are we at
warming
for the time?
drops the temperature. You're 1 minute left, dude. You're crushing this.
Good job, Kobe. I'm proud of you.
I've also, I started meditating at the beginning of quarantine, beginning of COVID when we had actual quarantine, but I stopped with it. I should have kept going.
You should have kept going.
It would have helped.
You would have crushed this.
You definitely brought out the releasing the emotion that you've been very vocal in there.
I feel like
I can feel it. I can feel it like my spinal cord is getting cold. I can feel it.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, well, it's because your blood gets cold. And it'll actually if you ever get a brain freeze, I'm pretty sure that's actually, people always say roof of your mouth thing, but I'm pretty sure
it's still going down.
Oh my God.
Oh wait, we got the camera here.
Kobe was very clear that it shouldn't be below 50 for cold exposure, and now it's 40 something.
It's 45.
It's very cold.
I think it's 44. We hit a new record, baby.
Well, fortunately, you're at
I see it. 12, 11,
10, 9,
8, 7, CLG, CLG,
4,
CLG,
three,
CLG.
2, 1.
All right, get out of there, Kobe.
Oh.
All right, we'll get a moment of Kobe here, and then we'll eventually have to swap Azael in.
Yeah. Kobe's gonna dry off, so we're gonna let Kobe dry off. I think we'll have to touch back on this series.
I don't know if this is horrible for audio listeners on podcast.
I'm sure it is, Mark. That's a terrible idea. Let's turn on a loud.
I think it's far enough away from the microphones.
All right. Well, we're gonna let Kobe dry off.
We'll be back in a second with Azael jumping in the hot tub to break down
The hot tub.
the hot
We're gonna
tub to
call it
break down
that.
EG versus TSM. Alrighty, we're back with Azael's turn to hop into the hot tub.
Enjoy, my friend.
I'll start the timer.
Try to step right in here.
That's what you get for believing in Team Liquid.
Oh, that's really cool.
All right, timer's going. He's got the microphone.
Oh, okay. That's actually horrible.
You get to
Yeah.
feel that numb set in.
Oh gosh.
Remember, you
Get down there. Get down there. Squish it.
You do what you got to do to survive.
I thought you were exaggerating. This is terrible. Oh my god,
It's really
that
shocking,
hurts.
isn't it? You're
It
like,
really hurts.
it's like your legs are gonna like fall off or something.
No,
Don't worry, they
truly
don't.
horrible.
They stay on. You just have to make it for like a minute and a half, and the numbing will kick in.
So
You're 30 seconds
why?
in, buddy.
Tell us why Team Liquid did not make Worlds, Azael. Why
they're
did
trolling.
Why did the super team fail?
I don't know.
Is it Gilhoto? Is it?
Why did they pick Galio?
Is that a
They
Bjergsen
shouldn't
problem?
have done that.
CLG picked Galio versus Team Liquid and they won in the same matchup.
They should
Galio
have
Silas.
played Zillion. Just blind it. It works every time. Well, isn't that the only champion he plays?
First pick.
Yeah.
What about Bwipo? You have any? You mad at Bwipo at all, or Hans or Core?
Oh God, I can't think.
I can see some blood vessels like coming to the surface of your skull right
Yeah,
now.
this is terrible. This is truly
So
horrible.
what about the Jinx? You know, this Jinx that came up in the CLG series.
Yeah, we were talking about Jinx a little bit
Hansama
before.
Jinx, you know.
Jinx was all right.
It's
wasn't it?
famous.
Yeah, I think the Jinx wasn't that bad. They got first blood in like
Oh
what,
my
4 out of 5
God.
games bottom or something.
Yeah.
What about their macro? Did you? Were any macro plays that like stood
Did
out?
they do any macro plays?
I guess that might be the problem.
They were all micro plays.
I
This is
feel
all
like they
little-
didn't.
This is-
I feel like that might be the issue here.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, I think it was very reminiscent to their whole summer
How
form.
did you get Zen? This doesn't get better. I can still
you gotta
feel
start
the pain.
meditating. You gotta start meditating.
Maybe you didn't get low enough. That was
Oh
the
my
problem.
God.
You can't get into a Zen state if more than
I
60%
feel like I'm
of you
just
is
gonna have
above.
to amputate. I don't want to give up anything lower.
I was thinking, I was like, it's such a difference because your top of your body is just out of it. Your legs actually feel like they're just gonna fall off or something.
Yeah.
At least your core organs aren't going through it. You know, at least like your
Oh my
lungs and your
God.
stomach.
I really want to do like full
Why?
bath now.
You're
I don't-
sick. Why would you do this
You're gonna
willingly?
feel great when
No,
you get
I'm
out.
not.
when you get out.
believe
Doesn't
you.
Kobe look alive right now? Kobe, how do you feel?
He's just enjoying my pain.
I
This
feel
has
great.
nothing to do with him having done this earlier.
Do you prefer going first or second now? Because Kobe's been through it and he can know what you're going through, whereas you didn't know when you were watching the first time.
Both are
He
terrible.
was laughing his ass off.
He was.
He thought
It was really funny earlier.
He thought that shit was
It's
funny.
not funny anymore. Oh my
I've
God.
lost a lot of bets, but I'm glad that this is the one that I managed to
This
sit
is
out
the
on.
worst bet.
I want to
I got scammed. That's what I was realizing.
I want to do more ice bath bets, but we need a bigger ice bath.
We need like a one that we can all
TL
get in.
bet CLG, you know?
Yeah.
They beat them. I feel like, I shouldn't
they
have.
fucking bet them all
I
right.
shouldn't have as long of a bath.
He's right. He was a step closer to qualifying.
was.
You were
You either
If he was 5
qualify
minutes away, I was like 30
or you
seconds
don't.
away.
You qualify
I was one
or
game
you
away,
don't.
Mark.
No, dude, that's
I
how
was one game away.
This is what I do when I go to Vegas.
We were also one game away.
You were one game away from being 3 games away. It's not the same.
That's when I go to Vegas and I'm over on blackjack. I'm like, I was only 1 over. You were 4. I shouldn't lose as much.
Yeah, you can't get your money back.
Yeah, I don't feel my legs anymore. So now it's like
You're okay. You're feeling a little
now
better.
it's horrible, but for other reasons. Like, am I ever gonna feel my legs again? Does that come back?
Yeah, they're
Well,
good. They're good.
You'll find out in a minute and 15 seconds if they come back.
Oh, the first 30 seconds is for sure the worst.
Yeah.
I felt like
It was
I
like
was
the shock.
The first 30
which
seconds
Team
felt like
Liquid
5
failure
minutes.
hurt you the most?
Oh man, I feel like actually what hurt me the most was Santorin not making it.
Yeah,
he looked
'cause
so sad
he
after.
was sad after.
He also
I was
played the
excited.
best.
He
Yeah,
played
he deserved
so
it.
well.
He deserved
deserved
to
it.
win.
I was actually really, I was like happy for EG when they won. I was like, that's cool, good for them. And then as soon as I saw Santorin's
Yeah.
face, I was like, now I'm not happy anymore. Now I'm just sad. Because Santorin's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible to root against him. And he played so well. And he's been trying to win a championship in NA forever. I feel like more than anything, TL let Santorin down.
Yeah, they did. TL let Santorin
Justice
down.
for Santorin.
I'm running out of things to talk about because I'm just. What about the EG side? Are you like? Do you at least like look at?
You're running out of things to talk
because
about.
I
We're
what
the
the hell,
ones
Mark?
doing the
20
ice
seconds.
bath.
We got 20
You don't
seconds.
even have a hard job.
Yeah,
You're
what,
not
you
sitting
didn't do
here.
shit.
You
It feels
suck,
good. Let me
Mark.
tell you, it feels
What
good to
the
just not
fuck?
to
This is
do
what
it.
happens when we go on
How
ice
is
bath.
this idiot running out of things to say?
Yeah, what the fuck?
You got paid for this?
Mark, what do you think was the
3, 2, 1. You're done. Get out.
Careful, this is the only hard part. Your legs aren't gonna
I don't
work.
feel my feet at all.
They're not gonna work that
All
well.
right. Thanks, Azael. We'll be back in a second with some more of EG versus TL.
And we're back. Bets have been paid.
Bets have been
Easy.
paid.
Painfully.
Azael's got permanent damage though.
I think that so when I was in it, it just hurt. Now I'm actually so cold. I'm just getting continuously colder.
I feel great now. I feel fine.
Leave in the comments down below what's happening to Azael's body right now.
Yeah.
It's shutting down, I think.
We're using you for engagements.
Just think how many clicks we'll get when I die on the episode.
Watch our man
think-
freeze.
You'll just lose your legs though. I don't think you're gonna die.
Okay.
You'll be fine. You'll
Yeah,
still have hands. You can play games.
It's no big deal then.
There's no legs.
Yeah,
You don't even
that's
really
fine.
need those.
Yeah. If you're
cares?
playing like
It's
a Dave and Buster's driving game, you're good, dude.
Yeah, you don't need them for anything else.
No.
Just Dave and Buster's driving
Yep.
games. That's the entire purpose of legs, Mark.
I haven't used them for anything else in years. All right, let's get back to EGTL because that was maybe not the cleanest breakdown of a series we've ever had.
I don't even know.
You
what I'm talking
watch
about.
your goddamn mouth. Also, it's your fault.
That's on you.
Well, let's recover then. Talk to EG side 'cause we talked about Team Liquid.
Did we?
We yelled about a little bit. We yelled about Galio. We yelled about everything, but basically Santorin.
Yeah.
yeah.
EG JoJo was pretty good. He saved the series a couple times for them. He had some monster performances. He had some ones that he admitted as well in an interview that he dropped the ball on a little bit. Like his first Victor game, he was really far ahead and he died under turret because he got
Also,
stuff.
the team fight at the bottom tri-brush when he was on Victor, and
yeah.
he walks up
To kill the GA.
to the GA Jinx
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just dies there by getting exhaust shoved, seismic shoved. Yeah, he definitely that was a bit of a blunder.
Yeah, he got chain CC there. That I remember thinking that like that was the whole game, was that one fight, because I actually thought they were gonna win because they got the early kill on Hans, popped his GA, and then Super Fed Victor's on top of him. He gets like seismic shove, and then was it like All-Star combo or Ornn knocked up? I knew there was like he just got chain CC'd 100-0. But overall, like if I'm recalling correctly, I felt like in all the wins, JoJo was super good, right?
Yeah, I think
like
he
had
got
the
player of the
monster
series.
Azir game,
Yeah.
right? Let me pull it up so I'm not just like
he had a
misremembering.
really good
the last game was his Silas game, which
Silas
was
game?
super good. The Azir game where he was
Game one,
insanely
right,
ahead
yeah.
was game one against the Bjergsen Collie where he like flame horizoned him and was like deathless and stuff. That game was amazing. And then they won
game 4. They smurfed all over them, but that was also the Vulcan Bard game, which got more attention.
Yeah.
Vulcan had a pretty good series too.
Vulcan had a really
Vulcan had
good
an
series.
amazing series. Those were my two votes I was debating between.
Same.
Because Vulcan's Bard game and the Rakan game.
Oh, yeah.
Both the last two to clutch it was so big. His Rakan engages and that's not even super popular pick right now, you know.
I felt like throughout all of playoffs, Vulcan was actually really, really good. Because I remember back to the previous series against CSM as well, where I felt like in a number of games, they were kind of outscaled and they had to do these flanks and pincers to even keep the games close. And so many times Vulcan was finding these really good angles where he wasn't spotted and he's coming in from different angles and finding really good engages. He had a great series. He had a really, really great series. But yeah, JoJo, I think was pretty insane throughout playoffs. Even thinking back to the Game 5 TSM
series.
one,
Yeah.
where it was like, how do they win this game? And then JoJo Spellbook Smite, Steel Soul, was finding so many never moves, like the claw pull on Swain. He had a really good playoffs overall. I thought he was pretty incredible. I thought Inspired definitely played down from his normal level. I don't think he was horrible by any means, but he to me, he was by far the MVP, of the regular season. And I didn't think he played amazing in playoffs or anything. I felt like their standout players were probably JoJo and Vulcan.
Yeah. I think Danny, like we talked about, obviously had a off weekend because he was going through it, mentally fatigued. And the team, like I said, kind of had to adjust to that because we did some stats that we showed where the 80 carry role across playoffs has gotten more farm, is doing more damage. It's become a bot lane centric meta. And while the general trend is all 80 carries doing more, Danny's actually doing less than his regular season self. And they're just not playing around him. Like you said, you can just see that they don't go bot to protect him the way they used to and stuff like that. So I guess that's the optimistic angle is they're not playing well. I don't think EG is playing up to their own standard right now because of all the stuff that they're going through.
I mean, he lost confidence, and
Yeah.
so when that happens, the team is going to have to adjust and play differently, and is also going to lose confidence, in that position. And like you're saying, as far as the meta right now, so much is around team fights, and when that happens, you need your 80 carries to be pumping out damage in these team fights. So yeah, definitely definitely curious to see how this little twist at the end of playoffs shakes things up. I'm so excited.
So Danny during regular season was like doing 798 DPM was his average, right? So this is what I will say, and I was annoyed by this. I saw a lot of takes that I thought were garbage about like, oh yeah, Danny was never good this year. And I'm like, you were trolling. Danny was so good throughout regular season.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of like revisionist history always happens with awards when someone doesn't do as well in playoffs. People are like, well, they were always shit. I always knew it. And I'm like, nope, you didn't, because you're wrong. Like, so like his DPM dropped a lot. He still did 638 on average, which like isn't bad. He did more average DPM than Berserker for what it's worth, right? Wasn't nearly at the top, but like he was far and away number one in the regular season, and so it's a very different look. For
My favorite is actually when people do that exact same thing, but with items, on patches, and they'll say it before the item or the champion was even buffed and it was good. So they're just objectively wrong. They're like, oh yeah, I knew X Champion was so good. I've been playing that for 3 months. I'm like, that was 2 patches before it got buffed and it was dog shit then. You're stupid. Like, you're actually just wrong. It was a 44% win rate. That's why they buffed it.
I forgot where I was in some Reddit thread where this was happening, where people were like, oh, I always knew Han Sama was terrible back in his rogue days, and it was
he was smurfing at Worlds last year.
Yeah. So like that was someone replied to someone who was saying that about like, you're just a broken clock, and like a broken clock is right sometimes, and it's like, if you hate a player long enough, they're going to stumble. And then like, aha, I was right. This player sucked the whole time. It's like, well, you were wrong for 11 months.
Yeah, because I'm not wrong. Gut checking on this. It was last year at Worlds where he was like 1v9ing all their games, right?
Yeah, Hans was incredible at Worlds last year.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think that stuff is silly. Like, you can criticize players for like when they're playing poorly, but to be like, he was never good.
I knew it the whole time.
Is always so silly, right?
They were always pushing NA talent too much, and it's like, no, Danny's going through something. He's slumping right now, but was great before.
Yeah, I mean, he was amazing regular season. I still think the JoJo stuff is really, really hype. Overall, I mean, it's got to be a really disappointing end to the year for TL, because they lost 3-2 to 100 Thieves and 3-2 to EG, right? Like, you've got to think that there's so many little moments in their minds in a close series like that where they're thinking about all these little moments. Oh, like, what if I did this? What if we did that? What if we didn't pick this? You know what I mean? Like, that is going to run through your mind forever. Because one of the things that I will say, not to say that like TL was guaranteed to win or anything if they made it, obviously not. But you can have these swings where it's like you barely squeeze by and you're not playing that well, and then something clicks and you win a championship. And all people remember is that you won the championship, right? And TL, I'm sure in their minds are like, if we just had that one game, it all would have come together. And, like C9 is kind of an example of this, right? Where C9 didn't look that good throughout most of the year. And then over the last 2 weeks have just been amazing. And to me, they're just like playing the best league in the LCS by far now. But it's one of those things where sometimes, it just clicks. And had they actually, stumbled a little bit earlier, maybe we wouldn't have gotten to see them really come together as they have.
You want to talk C900 Thieves? The other
I just want to really sit on this EGTL series for a little bit as far as looking at what it means for the whole year for these two organizations, because that series, we're not even in finals weekend, but that series was the most important series all year besides the finals that is coming up, because so much was riding on this. These are two of the organizations that spent the most, invested the most resources in their LCS teams, in their academy teams, in this entire year. And like you talked about earlier, with Worlds being in North America this year. So either way, we knew like somebody's dreams were going to be dashed and budgets were going to be cut. And they're like, there's just so much riding on this series. And the fact that it did come down to a 3-2, 5-game series, very close series at that, was just so intense and so crazy. And now since, Team Liquid lost, we can kind of already start projecting and looking at the ramifications of that for the org overall and for the year moving forward.
It was a crazy year for them, and all teams. It feels like the super team kind of died in the West this year.
Vitality and
make playoff
and Team Liquid for sure.
Yeah, so it's just like, what's the future going to be? Not just for Team Liquid, but for like this roster approach in general of just like signing a bunch of the biggest names. I think I'm glad EG won in a sense because they brought in some younger talent with it. Even C9, you could say, brought in some younger talent with Berserker coming over, and then also they tried win some, it didn't work. They also swap players around and were more fluid than just biggest names all the time. So like, I think this does throw into question like moving forward how people are going to make it, because Team Liquid, you can't imagine they're just going to run it back.
Yeah.
I
Well, the thing is, last time I checked, almost all except Core JJ, all of the other players are on 2-year or more contracts. So the only contract that is up after this year is Core JJ's. And the other factor is that Team Liquid's academy team is probably the best academy team. I don't know of all time, but very close, if not, in the conversation of being the best academy team of all time. Like that program has dominated very heavily. So everybody wants Jan, Ayla, Harry, on their teams. They've got a lot of prospects. It's it's going to be drama either way. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff this offseason is all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'll be interesting, right? It's like, you can't really like spend more than TL spent, right? Like they went out and they got the best possible talent that they thought they could get. They tried to build the best possible team. I mean, Vitality obviously went even worse. They didn't even make playoffs, right? So theirs was even more a disaster. TL was one game away from making Worlds. Obviously, still a disaster with the context of like they were built to dominate. But yeah, super teams just haven't really worked out. I mean, people are like Fnatic. I don't know where you guys stand. Fnatic, some people are kind of calling like a super team as well, and that's obviously working out better. I think that's maybe like more up in the air depending on your definition or whatever. But I mean, I think TL is definitely going to be boom for next year. I think the roster is going to change drastically. How that actually happens, I'm not sure.
Because like the contracts are very expensive this year. And since they're multi-year contracts, and you have to think like there's kind of a contraction in the amount of spending just overall for all of the teams.
Yeah.
Like who's going to buy those contracts?
Well, I just wonder, like, it all depends how they're structured, right? Because if they're not guaranteed contracts, then can't they kind of just like terminate them?
Yeah.
Anyway?
I mean, I guess we don't know the exact terms, but I would think that those players got some pretty good contracts.
I also had heard that it was really like backloaded towards like incentives. So I don't know how true that is.
Okay.
But this is something that a lot of teams will use if you guys don't know at home, where you'll say, okay, Kobe, I'm signing you to $1 million contract, but like 300K is predicated on making playoffs. 300K is predicated on winning finals and, whatever, right? Like there's kind of like incentives built in, and then they just kind of announce the total number. Yeah. I had heard that a lot of that was that way for TL. I don't know how much or how true that is, but that was something I was told. So that would maybe make it hurt a little bit less, but I wouldn't be shocked if they like do a total kind of rehaul. Like, or it's interesting though. It's like, who would you keep if you were just going to keep one person to rebuild around? Is it just Core? Like a lot of people are negative on Core now.
I mean, they have Ayla, and Ayla is probably the hottest support. Ayla and Busio are the two hottest support prospects. So that's why I'm saying it makes it even more of an interesting scenario.
If you have to pick one though, if you have to pick one TL guy,
I would probably.
You're GM Kobe.
Yeah, I would probably keep Core, but
I would keep Core. I know he had a down split in a lot of people's minds, but like everyone did on that team, and like they
Santorin? Did Santorin actually have a down split?
I guess Santorin, you could say, didn't have a down split. But I think if you were going to be negative on Santorin, if you wanted to be, there's other junglers. Like jungler is an open position kind of in North America where there's a lot of great junglers. You could argue it's harder to find because now that Core JJ is green carded, like he's North America, not an import anymore. Like it's gonna be hard to find someone. Maybe Ayla can be that. He's also not an import, obviously. So like you can debate that. It obviously will be cheaper. So maybe if Team Liquid, what's funny about Team Liquid is they have the option to just flip their kind of philosophy right now because their academy program's so good that they could very easily, like if they can shed these contracts, just like bring a lot of their current players up. I don't know if they'll do that, but
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's what I think the GM is gonna have to decide for them, and Steve and stuff is like, do we want to spend a ton of money again and maybe not make Worlds, or do we want to actually try a different approach now? Yeah,
it's really interesting, right? And I also think it's tough because let's be honest, TL's brand is just winning, right? Like I feel like that's what the team is built around. I don't feel like there's necessarily like a face of the org beyond maybe core. So if you're even considering like losing core, he's kind of become that face over the last couple of years. But like they change their rosters very frequently, and they try to like swing for the fences and build these like incredible rosters that they feel are going to dominate. But they haven't been able to do it for a while, right? Like when was the last time they won? Was it 2018 or was it
2019?
No double lift, no win.
Yeah.
No double, no win.
Ever since double lift, right? So
No
2019
Jensen, no
spring, I
worlds.
guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's another story. We'll talk about
Well,
Jensen, but oh my God, that has got to be like so satisfying for him. But it's been a long time. So it's interesting. It's like their philosophy worked. They won 4 titles in a row, incredible run. And since then, it's been a couple years of them trying to emulate this. 2.5 years now, full, right? 5 splits since of not winning. When that really has been the purpose of these rosters. So they either have to build the teams in a more intelligent way and continue to spend money. Like, so maybe they're spending the money isn't wrong, but like they're just not building the right teams. Maybe they're building too many stars and not enough role players or something like
Yeah,
that.
the scouting seems pretty heavily focused on name power. Yeah. So I think definitely adjusting that.
Yeah, because Gen G is a team that a lot of people say is the super team this year, and they're doing fine. They're doing very well. Like,
I mean,
They're just all
they're
right.
okay.
There were a lot of people that when the Bjergsen over Jensen, even just that single move was announced, were like, huh? Excuse me? As far as the like, some moves feel like you're attached to. I feel like Team Liquid have been trying to get Bjergsen for 5 years, right?
Grass is
And they're
always
like,
greener.
oh, we could finally do it. And it, and they kind of tunnel visioned, even on some of these things. And so like, yeah, it does feel like some of the scouting is not as nuanced.
I definitely agree with that. And I also think that there's probably, I haven't done it yet. I want to do this where I look at every time a super team is made with straight up 5 standout players
5 stars.
versus when you work in 1 or 2 rookies. Because I feel like those almost always do better. Yeah. When a Biofrost joins the team, when a Licorice joins the team, when, like throughout history, there's been the time that like the rookie gets to come in and there's very little pressure on them. C9 did it at the time with like contracts and Blabber and like a million people. But like, maybe that's just my like C9 memory bias, but I feel like that usually works better because this player is someone that you have to like work around and gives you kind of a more defined thing, it feels like, and they probably have less ego and make just things go better.
Also, it gives you a little bit of like default structure. Something that's always brought up with super teams is like, well, everybody's going to have a really strong opinion, and that might make it very difficult to work together and actually form a clear idea, especially of how to play in game. Whereas if you do have a rookie, usually it's just natural, to have an authority kind of, structure.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption, and I think a lot of people's assumption, is that it was kind of too many cooks in the kitchen type of thing. Because like I didn't get any real reason other than like disagreement or whatever. Why is TL just bad at mid game and late game? Like they've been
It's
good
so
for so
weird.
many years. Core and Santorin, usually it's support and jungle that are like setting up objectives and doing all this sort of stuff. They've been great on with that for many years, even on TL. So it just didn't make sense to me that they're like why is this team that is their bread and butter for so long? Now they've improved their early game and they just like forgot how to play the mid and late game stages of the game. So to me, that just screamed like disagreements and people not being on the same page of where to go from the early game. So I think that's a lot of people's assumption. And you guys are talking about C9, but like EG is the super turbo obvious example as well, right? Like Jojo and Danny did that. To me, that's more the route that I hope TL goes, where they don't just go, okay, we're going to buy the 5 biggest names. They, find some talented rookies. Maybe they bring up some of the people from TLA that they think they can really build around. You bring in a role player, you bring in some big stars, whatever, and you kind of like have that more established hierarchy where you can be maybe more on the same page, because that does seem to be like a more effective recipe, just where you have not 5 people who are all used to being the leader, right?
It also lowers the expectations where like Team Liquid talks first or bust, and that's it when you have that much talent. But if you are developing some rookies at the same time, it's like, well, we got second and we're going to Worlds. Obviously we wanted to win, but like this is also kickstarting this player's career, and there's like more things going on than just win or it sucks.
I mean, there's one thing that is just guaranteed is that it is so much easier to get public facing wins and get wins with the fans if you have some sort of young talent on your team. It is so difficult to come out, socially ahead if you're like, look, I signed all the current best stars with a ton of money, because then you're doomed if you win, they're like, it was expected. Please, you spent so much money, you got all the stars, you better have won. And if you lose, this is what happens. And people are like, ha ha ha, they all get to make fun of you. But if you at least have some amount of rookie talent or building up some players, then you at least have other angles to go for the social aspects too.
I feel like the only way TL would come out on top is if they had a deep international run. Because then the region would just be happy, right?
Yes.
Then the fans would just be happy. But like that was literally like the only like win scenario for you. So I fully agree. It's tough.
Yeah. All right. Ready to move on to that really good C9 team. The Jensen cackling with his, I don't know if you saw like his tweet that like, this is the super team after TL lost.
I mean, it has to be the best feeling ever for Jensen. His whole career, he's obviously compared to Bjergsen, even this split with all the top player lists, like, so here's like my take, right? Is that Jensen has obviously been way better internationally than Bjergsen, but when you're talking just LCS, Bjergsen has still accomplished more, right? And I think that's not really like super arguable. But you can definitely argue that the international stuff is more important and that Jensen is a better player overall because of that, right? I think that's a fair argument to make. Either way, regardless of where you stand on that, the fact that you get replaced by your kind of like nemesis, the guy that you're permanently compared to and said you're worse than, and then you join another team midway through the year, he's on the most highly paid team ever. They don't even make Worlds, and you're waiting in the winners bracket finals. Like, it just doesn't get any better than that.
After you beat EG, who was the team that also like supposedly was debating between the young player and you, so you get to kick them down there too to be the ones that knock out Team Liquid. Like, it has to be the sweetest vindication ever.
And he got a vacation in spring out of it too, It's like, I gotta take a break, go to Las Vegas for her.
I guess I'll go to Worlds now. Here we go, 8th time in a row.
It's actually so funny.
I mean, that is just a wild achievement that he's only played 8 years, no?
Yeah, he's gone every
so
year.
it's literally.
Did they go in 2015? They did go to 2015, yeah.
Yeah,
they did
every single year that he has actually played, he just goes to Worlds. And like that is an amazing accomplishment. I think like longevity in esports is so hard to really like stay at the top for so long. You really have to be like incredibly talented and incredibly disciplined. So I think it's such an achievement. And the fact that it's a global record now, I believe, right? Like he's actually made the most of anyone in the world in a row is so cool. And that puts him in that kind of like elite echelon, right? He has had some great international runs. And he has had tons of domestic success, and he has had longevity over 8 years. It's like he has one of the best careers of anyone ever, right? Like it's amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is. This Cloud9 team, though, I would say, just barely in the nick of time. Okay, this whole freaking split. Since we made our power rankings on day 1 of summer, we were like, all right. This team, they got a lot of potential.
They're going to win the whole thing.
They're going to be ramping up. Don't worry. They're going to start real slow. They're going to ramp up. And they've really been slow like the whole split until right at the end. And they're like, woo, all right, now we're the best. And we're just like right in time for the best of 5s in playoffs. Like
even the CLG starters in playoffs.
Not even the first one.
Yeah, not even. Yeah, exactly. It was only when they got to like, 100 Thieves and stuff. They're like, boom, 100 Thieves out. Boom, Evil Geniuses. Boom, 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 boom. They're just taking out everybody. It's actually so funny that the peak is at the last possible second to have this outcome.
Yeah, it's if everyone imagines like improvement as like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but sometimes it's like 6 steps forward, 12 steps back, 3 ahead, 2 back, 5 ahead, and that's kind of how C9 felt, where it's just so hard to get a read of like, are you guys going to become good? I can't tell. I lost faith, and now it feels like they have the best player in almost every position in playoffs. Fudge is slamming kids.
Ooh.
Jensen's slamming. Berserker is an absolute beast. Blabber has not had any of his usual like Blabbers Crabbers moments, really. So like they feel kind of unstoppable. They have the most dominant wins in playoffs thus far. They have 2 of the only 3 ones. Mm-hmm. Everything else is like full series almost. Mm-hmm. They're super coin flippy. C9 look clean by comparison.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super impressed, and I do think the way that they won was really cool. That it was like Fudge on counter picks. A lot of these matchups, like that was obviously extremely important for them. And I also think it's extremely important to be able to do that sort of stuff international. And that's, I think, one of the things that's cool about Cloud9 doing well is LCS fans believe that C9 could do something internationally, right? Because they've kind of been our team that has been the most consistent when it comes to international. I think largely because they're a team that's not afraid to take swings, to be aggressive, to like shake things up if they're not working, to try to adjust with the meta and stuff. So I think it's cool that they kind of like had made their own pivot with that in playoffs, and I do think that potentially sets them up well. But just purely like you're saying, just based off the level of play, I would have to think about it more to see if I really agree with like best player in every position, because that can feel a little bit extreme.
Yeah, that's a good headline clickbait though, Mark.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm putting the pressure on him.
Yeah.
He's thinking about them clicks.
Yeah, it's not the pressure on you. You just flame them if they lose.
I just say anything, and then I flip to the other
They were the
side.
5 best players in the
How did they
LCS.
lose to
How did they
100
lose?
teams?
What are these schmucks doing with this super team?
Well, he could say at this time they had the 5 best players. As soon as they lose, it's obvious
The
that the
winner
other
obviously had better players.
obviously the other team has 5 best players now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, because like heading into the series, I was like, what's going to happen in top lane? Is someday going to survive the Fudge counter picks? No. And then I was like, FBI is going to play Lucian Nami, and they're going to take it to Berserker sometimes. They tried it, and they fell 30 CS down into Zeri. And I was like, okay, never mind.
Hey, how about that Nilah though?
That was clean. It wasn't actually like 100% clean. There were some oopsies in that game, but like the fact that they're willing to bust that out shows that he's not just like the Zeri guy. He can do other things too.
Nilah is really cool, and it's interesting because like I've seen a fair bit of it in streams and solo queue and champs queue and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it can look really good. And like I don't really have a good read on how it slots in compared to other traditional marksmen in pro, because we just like haven't seen enough of it in pro. In this game, it felt like it was less about the damage and it was just like an initiator, right? It's like an initiator in a different way. Because largely he was going in and finding these engagements with his ults and then just kind of dying, and Jensen and Fudge and stuff would clean it up.
Yeah, I really actually love the pick. I've been trying to like champion it because I've been tracking Gumayushi and Ruler. And if you look at their solo queue accounts, Guma like spams Gale Force. So Berserker didn't actually go for this strategy, but he uses Gale Force to make it even more of an engaged champion. So you have this Gale Force forward in addition to your dash, and he'll like Gale Force, dash forward, get these crazy engages, and like basically playing like AD carry Diana with Jack's dodge on top of it, and is just so like fresh to look at as far as an AD carry pick. Plus then it's really fun to use the extra experience passive and like healing passive and stuff in different duo lanes and come up with the combinations. Like it with Tarek and stuff is one of the nastiest things that I've seen in any of the solo queue games I watched.
Something that's really funny though is that like Ruler brought out Nilah and everyone was like really hyped about it.
Yeah.
And then someone was telling me that he was like sprinting it in solo queue when he was playing it. And so I went and looked at his OPGG. He was like 4-11 on the pick in solo queue and like had a lot of doozies, like 0-8-3, 1-6-3, 1-7-3.
Scientific process.
1-5.
Gaining data.
He had some good games too, right? He had some 10 kill games, but like it's just funny to see that it's like it's like he's perfected the Nilah and now it's ready, and then you look at his solo queue and it's just like he's getting blasted.
So to use a science term, he's very precise but not accurate. Like in experiments, the difference between precision and accuracy is like precision will hit the same point every single time. Accuracy is just if you want to be hitting that point. So he was always really precise, hitting like 1-7, 0-8, 1-6.
He had some 10 kill games. I don't want to.
He just had to get over the 10 kill, and that's what he did, in competitive. Get
Also,
the accuracy fix.
Also, you look at Gumayushi's solo queue because it is significantly better.
I believe you. It was just funny with that.
Well,
Someone told me that, and I was like, oh man, he must have been crushing. I want to bring this out in pro, whatever.
Yeah. No, it also is part of that learning process with this champion, and part of the explanation of it being a very like high skill cap champion and taking a lot of time investment, being one of the reasons that a lot of it isn't prolific and a bunch of AD carries and teams haven't pulled it out, is that it is so different. And when you're an AD carry engaging, guess what? You're going to have some big red numbers up there as you're going through that learning process.
Yeah, not everyone's Sven ready to go in immediately. Roll swap quickly. I'm the engager now. The other thing is it has some things that work well in pro, like getting your 6 on your support early in a roam meta, and then being able to end up at 6 at Rift Herald fights at 8 minutes.
Yeah, and I still want to see the Nilah plus Tarek. I feel like is just so turbo broken every time I've seen it in Champions queue or solo queue. So
Yeah, it seems really good. He did have a 27 kill normal game that he queued up for, so maybe that's what gave him the confidence to bring it out in pro.
I thought
he
you were
went
going to
and
do
slap down some platinum players or whatever, and then he's like, "Oh, this is good. I like this." Yeah,
Excuse me. There's some extremely high normal ELO players.
there are like me. I could have been that player he was slapping down.
That can find themselves.
Like, excuse me, I'm playing against Ruler.
You're fine. It matches you up. You must be the same skill level.
Yeah, of course.
That feels pretty good though, as far as our recaps.
Yeah, I think we've done it. I guess we can look ahead now. We have C9 as the final boss. We have 100 Thieves versus EG.
Ooh, Evil Geniuses with the AD carry switch versus 100 Thieves.
Anyone believe in them?
I feel like it's hard to believe in him.
When we were doing bets, or we were doing predictions on basically all of the shows leading up to this week, pretty much everybody's been predicting 100 Thieves, but I was actually surprised at how many people just gave zero chance to EG after hearing the news on AD carry. And I was like, whoa. I am also, like I did 3-200 Thieves, but I really think that people are making this out to be a much bigger hit to Evil Geniuses because it's such a big issue for them. But like we went over at the very beginning, it's not like they're replacing him with bottom of the barrel talent. And I really do feel like the rest of the members of EG bring so much to the table and have already started to acclimate to this and started to like compensate and step up more and stuff like that, that I think it is going to be competitive. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 like a lot of the initial reactions I've seen, kind of the knee jerk to the news.
Yeah, 3-0 is definitely knee jerk because the fact that EG could win versus Team Liquid despite the struggles that they were clearly going through, there's enough talent left on that roster. Even if Gory's not great, he just comes in and he's like middling, I still think that they'll pick up a win where it's like a game where JoJo and Inspired pop off or something. Impact has a great game against Someday, which is like not unthinkable. So I still have some faith in them, but I'm also on the 100 Thieves side. Even though they just got slammed by C9, C9 just looks really good. So I don't know if that's a shot at 100 Thieves. I think that they can still, like the Gwen game when, people were like, oh, we'll just blind Ornn and take it away. I bumped into Fudge afterwards because it was really funny. There's a shot of him on the broadcast after that the Ornn game, just looking dead inside. And I was like, that's the face of a man who doesn't know why he just had to play Ornn. And I called him afterwards and I was like, how'd that Ornn game go? And he's like, I should have just taken the counter pick. I don't know why I tried to take his Ornn away. Just give him the Ornn. So I think Someday is still like, if you try to blind stuff into him, he can do the counter picks and whatnot. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is not like, wow, EG, you're so bad without Danny. It's more like, 100 Thieves is just really good. I already thought they had a decent shot to win the title, right? So I do think it's a big hit for EG. I think there is a world in which like Cowrie just like slots in well and the team is really clicking and they could like win if everyone really is on fire. I will say though that it does even change like pick ban a lot. So it's like as much as people were kind of like, well, Danny was bad in playoffs anyway, teams were still just like turbo banning him out, right? Like, do you have to do that against Cowrie? Like, can you just let him pick whatever he wants? And now all of a sudden you're just like 5 bans on JoJo, and now JoJo has, like a harder time actually having good games. So I am somewhat interested to see that, like what the read is from 100 Thieves. Like, do they even have to worry about EG's bot lane anymore? Because if you can just like leave everything open for bot lane and spend bans on other lanes, that gives 100 Thieves a big advantage, right?
I think it'll turn more into drafts like we see for the normalized other teams. And there's a lot, and this is playoffs in all the other regions too, LCK, LPL and stuff like that. It's very common to do like the Sivir Zeri trade if it's going to be scaling, or they do the early game trades. Depending if the other team has a massive Draven player or something like that. I think it'll turn more towards that territory because there isn't that like specific focus.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, he also actually plays some more of the aggressive champions. Like Danny didn't really tend towards the Draven or Kalista.
That's why I think it's going to be a more normalized draft because it's a more normalized champ.
Yeah, he has 7 Kalista games from Summer. 4 Lucian games, so I do think it's less like, he can play either side of the matchup probably. We'll have to see what EG's game plan is. I wouldn't be surprised if they default a little bit more to the scaling so they don't have to play around the aggressive side very much.
Yeah.
Because that is the one caveat, is that if you're going to go slam lane early, Inspired's got to be down there. JoJo's got to be making moves.
And him and Vulcan have to be on the same page,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
you just started playing with this guy. If you're going to play Callista or Lucian Nami or whatever, you have to blast lane, or it's just the picks are terrible, right? Like, if you're going to pick this and your opponents are playing Sivir or whatever, Zeri or whatever, and you just like going even or you're down, it's like, go next. So I do think that like that is a big X factor too. So, I mean, I think it's just like, yeah, I think EG, it would have been already reasonable to think that 100 Thieves could just win the series, even with Danny. So I think it's most people, if not all, are definitely going to be on the 100 Thieves side. I think that they're a really strong team. I think it's very likely that they will have their rematch against Cloud9, which will be really exciting. But that being said, the way in which I would think EG would win if they were to is really heavy focus on roam, just allow Kaori to like play, scaling picks and stuff, and look for team fighting, involve the top side of the map more heavily in the early game, and just have Vulcan roaming and really try to focus on getting solos ahead, because I think that could be a real way in for them.
Yeah. It's also cool that we get like another added story. Hold on. Let me play his name again. Oh, man.
It's Kaori, right?
Kaori.
I unmuted it. Yeah. So we could get the exact
Kaori.
Kaori.
Well,
It is cool that we get a another Turkish player versus closer.
Ooh,
because
yeah.
they always have more chat. Whenever Luger and Closer
Yep.
are playing also, there's always more chat. And one thing I've noticed with the Champions Queue games, when I see Kaori, he is a talker. He is a typer. So I'm definitely expecting him and Closer to have some good trash talk coming into this. And so we got kind of like a little injection, of another like side storyline here, which will be pretty cool to pay off as well, because I know that he has been scouted a lot already. Like I said, he's up there with Jan as far as the academy AD carries have been going, and people have had their eyes on him. And there's going to be a huge stage, plenty. He's going to have a giant megaphone. It's just like, this is the best opportunity you have to make your billboard for maybe not Evil Geniuses, maybe other LCS teams,
Gallery for
but
LCS
you've
2023.
exactly. You've got a giant billboard. Get up on that podium. Give me your platform. Give me your speech. Do you want my vote? Like, what's it gonna be?
I gotta see you in the debate first.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna vote until I see.
And his debate, partner is FBI. So it's pretty good competition.
Yeah, I'm going with you though. 100 Thieves, probably 3-2, maybe 3-1.
I'm going 3-1.
Okay, I'm sticking with my 3-2.
Anyone gonna go against Cloud9?
I think Cloud9 is for sure favored. They've looked by far the best over the last 2 weeks or so in playoffs. It is last 2 weeks.
I love
right?
how it's changed, because when Fudge gave his interview with Travis Scafford, after the CLG series.
Yep.
So this is before they showed, this dominant form or anything. And he was like, yeah, we're going to 3-0. You stop living in the past, okay? We're crushing it right now. And the majority of people are like, yeah, it's classic Fudge. He's trolling, he's being over the top. Ha, ha, ha. And then they're like, boom, boom. Oh, yeah, who's over the top now?
I still think he was trolling. I mean, he literally came in before he had another interview. Did you see the interview before the 100 Thieves?
Yeah.
So we have no chance. It's a 0-3. I don't
Okay,
see
That
any
one was the
possible way.
fault. No, that one was the follow-up troll because of the first one.
I think he was serious in the first one, because
Yeah.
he sounded like a little bit exasperated. He's like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Just wait and see. Like, it found like he was actually trying to convince us to not doubt them. And then the next one, I think, because people thought still believed the first, he leaned the other
It was
direction.
the reaction troll.
Yeah.
I still think he was trolling the whole time. but
He also had the pop-off interview after the win this weekend.
That was actually really weird to me.
Well, he said keep doubting. So C9 are going to lose in finals to 100 Thieves.
it got pretty aggressive.
He was asked about what do you have to say to the fans that are here supporting you, and he said keep doubting, and I was just like, huh?
Yeah, because obviously people like analysts and stuff would have predicted against them, right? Like we probably predicted against them and so on. But a lot of the C9 fans believed the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
I don't know. It was weird.
the interview was a bit weird.
I'll
It
say
was a little
this too,
aggressive.
as someone who was there for probably the whole year and had to go through everything they went through in spring.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were a lot of fans who doubted the C9 systems, who came for that org's head in spring, who are now showing back up now that they've made worlds. Oh,
Coming out of the
hey,
closet with
good
the
job.
C9
I was always here. I'm sure if you had to go through that, you might have a chip on your shoulder too.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Like people really hated them after the LS stuff. for sure. So I can see it from that perspective. And I mean, I think it was just like, he's getting off his chest. He was like,
he's juiced.
Yeah.
like,
It definitely seemed like he had some dirt to get off his chest. Yeah, he was like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
I mean, they showed us, right? Like, and Cloud9 does it again. It would be really cool if they do end up winning. It's the first time they'll have won in summer since the split that Cloud9 entered the LCS. They've actually never won in summer.
It's always been spring. It's always been spring.
They're always the spring team, and then people always kind of like meme them for you have the drop off in summer or whatever, right? Like they've had that a number of times. So it would be interesting to see if Cloud9 goes in as like the number 1 seed. If they are able to win, that would be a new look, because we're always used to seeing Cloud9 go through play-ins and have the extra time.
We've saved this story until Worlds came back to North America.
And
the writers, they had this one stowed away. We've saved it. It got delayed because Worlds got delayed from coming back to North America. We've coveted this one. And
Jensen's first C9 win potentially too. There's a lot of little storylines here. He never won with that org despite making so many summer finals. They lost all of those.
Yeah. But what if play-ins gives Cloud9 their power?
That's my biggest concern, really.
That's the M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end as hell. You're like,
first seed goes 0-6.
Yeah.
C9, you don't know what you wish for.
Finally, we've won the monkey's paw curls.
Yeah.
we overcame our summer curse only to
realize that play-in was the source of their power.
Play-ins this year is actually nasty, though.
Yeah,
like
you
that
wanna
is
dodge that.
freaking scary.
There's 2 EU teams, right? There's 3rd and 4th seed, and then 4th seed LPL, 4th seed LCK, 3rd seed NA.
It's juiced.
There's going to be lots of really strong minor region teams. So yeah, play-ins is no joke this year. This year they're like, is a lot less shame in going out and play-ins, right? Like, because there's
4 spots.
There's 4 spots
and 5 major region teams. So someone
unless we don't go out in plans, and like we kick a bunch of other teams out in plans, and then there is
shame. Yeah. But if we
go out, there's no shame.
There's no shame.
Yeah. No shame.
We've never gone out before, so this will be our first time.
Exactly.
I feel like we're cursing the shit out of us right now. We are just cursing ourselves with this talk.
No.
Shame! Where's my bell?
This is perfect. There's still shame for Mad though.
Well, we're the only 3 seed. All the other 4 seeds. I guess EU has a 3 seed in there too.
They have a 3 seed and a 4 seed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Glad we got that figured out, boys.
We're all aligned. Everyone agrees.
All right.
We do a prediction for the finals based on, because we all predicted 100 Thieves to win.
Yeah.
So that means we're all predicting the finals to be Cloud9 100 Thieves.
I mean, I will say Cloud9. My series score would largely be based on how good the 100 Thieves, right? I think going into this weekend,
we're men of science. We need more data.
Exactly. I'm expecting Cloud9 to win, so I'm comfortable saying that. But like, if 100 Thieves came out and just like absolutely turbo stomped EG 3-0, like looked amazing in all roles, maybe you start to think, hey, maybe 100 Thieves gonna win.
I just need to hear the next Fudge interview before I decide.
Well, the other thing too is like, even if they stomp EG, people are just gonna be like, oh, well, EG just had to go through the whole Danny situation. So, they weren't even really that good anyways, and 100 Thieves still sucks. So
but it'll affect your series score, no? Right? Like, if 100 Thieves comes out and struggles and like barely escapes by in a 3-2.
I'm saying C9 3-0 no matter what. So there you go. No, I'm not really.
Okay.
Probably 3-1 C9. But like, yeah, if they come out and they look terrible, then yeah, sure, I'll go 3-9 CO. But like, you're
3-9 CO.
3-9 CO. That's going to do it for us here on the dive.
No ice water bath, by the way.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Maybe
my
you should have had one.
I wake up.
We've got the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got something.
Lizard brain kicked in. Get me out of the water.
Fight or flight. All right, that'll wrap it up for us for now. And remember, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode of the Dive. When Worlds kicks off, expect the first episode after play-ins for Divephoria. Not sure what the talent rotation is going to be and stuff, who's going to arrive when, but obviously we'll have the EU folks on when the EU folks arrive. Thank you for everyone who's checked us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor.fm. Remember, continue to submit those questions. You can send them the voice questions on Anchor.fm, #TheDiveLOL on Twitter. And appreciate everyone. This would be the last LCS episode of the Dive for the year. So shout out to everyone who's stuck with us. It's been a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed Kobe and I suffering horribly. And Mark being a
Chilling.
terrible host, running out of things to say while we were in pain.
I never paid off the Nilah bet that I originally had with you. We didn't have the turn.
No one remembered.
We'll figure it out later. LCS Summer Split concludes in Chicago this weekend. I hope I'll see some of you there. It's going to be so fun. Texas was amazing
Oh my
in spring.
God. I can't wait, actually. Live
juiced.
audience again.
Are you juiced, Kobe?
I'm juiced.
You're juiced. All
Voltron
right.
casting setup, maybe?
I hope so. Tune in to the match
3 p.m. Central or 1 p.m. Pacific.
starting a little bit early on the West Coast. We crown our LCS champions this weekend.